been talking a lot of linebacker today, Dave, talking about Ernest Jones and Tyrice Knight. We were looking at the Seahawks voting for the all-time greatest 50 players in organization's history. You and I went through our linebackers and named ours. You went with 6, I went with 5, but we both had this guy. On our all-time Seahawk list, and he's with us on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Our buddy Lofa Tatupu is with us. How are you, man?
So there is no way you have me on your list. Let's get serious right now.
We both have you on our list.
That is absolutely ludicrous for you to say that. Come on. What are you talking about?
I'm just saying, how many linebackers do we get?
I went with 5, Dave went with 6.
Oh, man. So many choices. I'm going to go with 3 because I played in the 4-3. But give me Bobby Wagner, give me Chad Brown, and then give me Julian Peterson. I know he wasn't here very long, but he made 3 Pro Bowls out of 4 years, and the numbers. I just love guys that put up interceptions, sacks, forced fumbles, and these guys did a lot of that.
Well, so, Chad had, I went back and looked at the number, 48 sacks for Chad Brown. He was impactful, man.
What about interceptions? I would be looking at number 51. And I remember I was on the postgame show and I was interviewing Lofa, and I'm like, man, 3 picks. I had 3 picks in my whole career. And then Lofa hits me with, yeah, I should have had 4. I'm like, you little brat.
Well, we both had you on our list, Lofa. We each had Bobby Wagner, KJ Wright. Dave went a little more. I had Chad Brown on mine, and I had Dave Wyman on mine as well.
See, I wanted to go KJ. Give me 4. I'm putting KJ in there. And actually, you know what? Maybe I'll go 5. What about Fred Young? Throw him in there.
Yeah,
right? It was a bad dude. So many. It's well, thank you. I appreciate you guys. I feel like you probably just put me on there because I'm doing the show today, and I appreciate it. I'll take that.
No, not. I can speak for Dave. Every time we bring you up, he refers to you as his all-time favorite Seahawk, not just linebacker, but just player. So there you go. Not to make it awkward, but that's just how it is.
Well, I'll admit it. I like him better than I like myself. So,
and Dave loves him.
Yeah, I love me some me.
Oh man.
Hey, but Lofa, we were talking about linebackers to open the show because this defense in the past 3 games is just a world of difference. It is a completely different defense. And we were talking about the acquisition of Ernest Jones. And, these guys brought in Dotson. They brought in Baker in the offseason. Those were the big pickups. They figured out that, all right, they don't fit what we want to do. They got rid of both of them. And they bring in Ernest Jones, and Tyrice Knight deserves credit as well. But how, in your opinion, as a linebacker, how much of a difference has he individually made with the turnaround here?
I mean, just from the sheer stat line alone, I think the guy has 50 or 60 tackles, right, in like 4 games. It's just been insane. And then when I speak to those, because tackles, like I said, I started off the show saying I love turnovers, interceptions, sack, forced fumbles, like really impact the game. And I believe those are going to be coming for Ernest Jones. But the quality of tackle is something I always look at when I look at how many tackles a guy has. Like, yeah, he'll have 10 or 11 tackles. At least 8 or 9 of those are at or behind the line of scrimmage. And there was one, just Breece Hall is a really good running back, and he's tough to take down. There was a stretch play where Ernest got off of not 1 but 2 blocks and made a tackle for loss on Breece Hall one-on-1. And I was just like, you don't see that very often. At any year or, generation from linebackers. That's special. And then you got to give shout out or, credit to T Knight, 4th round, rookie. It's a lot to put on a kid's plate, come in, start, and, pick up. But the way they're playing in unison. They're playing together as a tandem. And when one goes downhill, the other is too. And this is freeing up a lot. Now, Leonard Williams is a very special player, but this is freeing him up to, go one-on-one, and him one-on-one is a problem for anybody in the game. And so the way they're all playing together, it's really just one unit as opposed to individual ball out there.
We got a chance to talk to Tyrice today, Lofa, and just a kind of a quiet kid, humble. But what do you think he could do to improve? You had a great rookie year, And but do you think he can get to the point where has the confidence to make plays? Because I think that always comes with you're sure of what you're doing. I remember the interception you got in Philadelphia your rookie year. I remember afterwards you explained it like perfectly to me, and and I feel like that's when you start to make plays. Do you see him starting to get to that level?
Absolutely, and he's close. And I'm not sure if this is like a entirely different scheme. I always give him credit, especially to my D-line when things happen and you make plays. But I had the benefit of leaving a 4-3 defense from college and going to a 4-3 defense in the NFL. And while, different terminology, a 4-3 is a 4-3, right? And 4 down linemen, 3 linebackers, and you bring a safety in when you know it's run. But you already know where the opportunities lie, and now it's just about making the play. But for a young kid who, went to community college, then he went to UTEP and won all-conference there, led the entire NCAA in solo tackles. Like, he's just risen to the occasion every time. And now you look at this, midway through the season, getting his chance and making the most of it because his stat line's up there too. It's always impressive. So, I think just as he gets a little more comfortable because he's in the right position, and now it's just, pull the trigger, go for it, kid. Shoot your gun. That's what we used to call it. When you see a play present itself, don't go chasing it. Just make the plays that are presented to you.
So Lofa, have you seen enough in these, I guess, 3+ games? They played better against the Rams. Certainly, it didn't win the game, but just in terms of the defense, is this who they are moving forward, or are you still like, all right, let me see, they got to do it for another game or two before I make that judgment that they've actually turned the corner and this is absolutely who they are?
I mean, they look damn good right now. Just everybody showing up, making plays, big hits. Like, the intensity is picked up, right? Because for the first part of the season before the bye, you'd see Spoon out there just laying somebody out. Every game he makes a big hit. And now everyone's getting in on the action. And the D-line's getting freed up to get one-on-ones. And it looks like they're having a lot of fun. But I think we kind of found our identity. We've been, shutting down the run. We went from one of the worst run defenses to, after the break, doing really well, held the Cardinals to 43, I believe, a couple weeks ago. And they were one of the best running teams at the time. So turnovers and then scoring off of the turnovers, back-to-back weeks where Kobe Bryant and then Leonard gets the defensive player of the week. So they're feeling themselves right now, and rightfully so, because there's not a lot of opportunity against them, and they're just hanging tough. And as that confidence and that continuity, that chemistry builds, they're going to be tough down the stretch.
Hey, Lofa, what do you see out of Kyler Murray this year? Anything different? I know he seems a little bit more mature, more of a leader, but he only had 10 or 11 yards rushing last time, and they kept him in check. But what do you think about him this year? Is it different?
Yeah. He actually looks, because he came back from the injury about a year and a half, only played like half the season last year, and he looks actually faster than he did before, if that's even possible. And sometimes that happens with a tough rehab process. You take care of all the things that weren't up to tuned up before, where you had any weakness. But he started off the season hot. We kept him in check because we kept him in the pocket, and that's something I'm going to be watching, when we play this week, because you got to stop Connor out the gate, but you cannot let Murray get on give him a short edge and get out there, because he's got the arm talent to put it anywhere, and then he's got the speed to just hit you for 40, 50 yards on one run, just to keep the chains moving. So. But, still one of the best talents in the league as a young player, and keep him throwing from the pocket, and I think good things will happen, just like we did last time. But our effort against the run, I think Connor had 7 rushes for 8 yards, and then you said Murray like 10 or 12 yards. There was just nowhere to go, and so I'm excited to see that trend continue as we go.
Is it fair, Lofa, to expect that defense to duplicate that? Or do you expect, all right, the Cardinals are going to make whatever adjustments they're going to make, and I don't know how much a team can change in 2 weeks. I mean, I think at this point of the season, most teams are who they are. So is it fair to expect the defense to go out there and just lock them down again in the fashion that they did?
I don't think it's fair, but we're trending towards being that kind of defense. And so I don't think it's fair because, now they know how we game plan them and they know what they need to do. I know it's only been 2 weeks, so is a lot going to change? No, but I would anticipate some QB sweeps like they've done in the past and had, success with misdirection, counter just some run game that we probably haven't seen out of them in a while. And just to keep us off balance. And then, try to attack wherever they think we have a weakness. Right now, that's what I love about the defense is I don't see a true weakness. If you can't run the ball on us, and then our secondary, they're aggressive and they're very opportunistic. I mean, they're going downhill for the big hits, which receivers take notice of, and that's when, the football starts flying around, gets knocked up in the air, and interceptions and big plays happen. And then the pressure, maybe the sacks haven't been there the entire year, but the pressure's been applied almost every game. And so, very impressive. And this is kind of like what defenses have done under McDonald's watch is just they continually get better and they get very strong towards the end of the season, just like when he was at Baltimore and Michigan.
What would you say about what the offense needs to do, particularly as it relates to the run game? I feel like Lofa, they are who they are right now. So really, to me, it's a matter of, okay, let's make sure we know who we are and run plays accordingly rather than, I feel like the quarterback sneak is just a non-discussion. Any of that kind of load 'em up stuff, it's not working. But what do you think?
And I give credit to Grubb because it's tough. If you're they know you only have the pass and Gino's arm to rely on because we do have a great receiver core, but they maybe not always we don't have enough time to throw the ball. It's a tough thing to kind of balance and, keep them off balance, so to speak. He's done a great job of manufacturing run game with the screen. The screen games have looked great, especially the one right over the middle. But you've even seen some teams, especially when we line up in that formation, that trips to that right, that they're, okay, here comes the screen. And they've been there for a big hit or even a deflection. Other than that, I really want to see the guys work up to the second level. If you can't reach, you know what I'm talking about, Dave? I know you can explain this to Bob. I'm sure Bob knows. He knows ball. But if you can't reach out and hit the D tackle, all right, you don't have to get him. Go up and annoy the linebacker. Doesn't mean you have to make the linebacker, flat back him, but just make him pick a side because a lot of these linebackers don't want to run through an offensive lineman's face these days. So just make him pick a side. And now if two of us are getting up, a guard in the center or two guards both getting up to the second level, now you're creating just different levels in that front seven. And now that different level, manufactures two or three possibilities for K9 and Sharps to pick from. And they're going to pick right. They're great running backs with vision. They're going to pick right the majority of the time, but we're not giving, there's a lot of times it's just stonewall right in that front and there's nowhere to go. And then that affects, play action. It's almost like they're not even going to give a thought to play action at that point. So I feel for both, the running backs and Gino. And you're right. Okay, we've shuffled some guys. We got Abe back. Olu's in there now, so there has been some. But these are the guys you're going to play with for the rest of the season, right? And I think just getting creative, even counter or power, like bootleg, which sets up the zone, the outside stretch in the zone, like all these things that it's almost like a boxer being a counter puncher and knowing like, okay, if we show this enough and we gain any success, they're going to bite the next time, and now we have a deep shot off the boot or something like that. It's really a chess match.
I hope all the texters heard that part where Lofa said Bob knows ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, Lofa, I think now, and this is the first time I've heard this, they're calling it duo. So you have a guard and a center come off and block the nose guard, and then one guy goes up to the linebacker.
Yeah.
I think they're calling it duo. And, if ever, you don't know what that term means, like now you know, right?
Yeah.
So okay, now I know, but I didn't know before because you called it something different. It doesn't mean I don't know football, right?
Exactly. Yeah. But if I used to hear a guy say, bring it, if I heard a guard or a center say, bring it, I knew I was going to run as fast as I could downhill through that guard's face. I was like, okay, I'll bring it because I know what you're doing. And only the smart ones were crafty enough to, like, do it on a play-action boot or something like that.
Yeah.
And then, God forbid I guessed wrong, I'm just going to go right through you, and then I'm just going to continue to the quarterback and try to get him before he gets that ball off.
Yeah, and that way you don't get in trouble in film.
No, make the play. Just make the play.
Exactly.
Hey, Lofa, one thing we've seen develop as the season has gone on, and especially after DK was out for a couple of games, is that connection between Gino and JSN, who, we had a chance to play softball with JSN, actually, Lofa and I. I was on JSN's team. We won, Dave. I don't know if Lofa told you that.
Yeah.
I heard that Bob hit a home run. I read it in the paper or something.
In the paper.
So it was an absolute laser show by Bob out there. And, he was calling his shot. Hey, look, I couldn't win MVP 3 years in a row. I wanted to get invited back, so I decided to just be a manager. It turns out managing's hard when you got a bunch of personalities that don't want to listen. That was tough.
That's right. We had – because Lofa was like 2 or 3 time MVP or something. And
no big deal.
Yeah.
No big deal. But
it's easy work for him.
JSN and that connection special. And, he was a first-round rookie, and they want to get him the ball, but, like, we have Lockett and we have DK. And, yeah, you're right. He stepped into a more prominent role. And, I mean, in zone, just like Lockett, they eat zone up. You can't just sit there because they find the pockets and the windows. And then if they have tight coverage, they'll jump to the second window, just loop right around him. And DK can throw Gino can throw with anticipation there and just let it go before they even cleared the guy. But and then he's got the speed, though, too, in man to just with that route running ability. He can run every single route, but he knows how to attack leverage and get into guys' blind spots. So even the best corners, he gives trouble because he'll take them upfield for 2 or 3 steps and then just swim or go underneath. And then all of a sudden there's 2 or 3 yards of separation. And it's something hard to teach. It's very instinctive. And he's got it. He can do it all.
Lofa, is he a guy you think could be a number one if hypothetically, and Dave and I have talked about this a bunch, Gino and DK are both coming up on the final year of their deals, and this is the offseason where typically an extension would happen. If for whatever reason the Seahawks said, you know what, we're not going to extend DK, we can't pay him that much, could JSN step into that role? Is he that type of receiver?
Oh, he's that kind of talent. And, a lot of can they be a number one doesn't have to do with the prototypical height, weight, speed. It's more of the mentality, attitude. I think about Steve Smith back with Carolina when I was playing. There's guys that are just special. Like they're competitors. They'll never back down from a challenge. And I believe, yes, he's got that in him. And I mean, the skill set's there, the hands, just being out of practice, like, you can't even hear him catch the ball. And Gino throws an absolute missile. And you could tell how natural a pass catcher is if, like, that ball's rocketed to them and it's just you didn't even hear anything. And that's kind of when I was there at camp, I was like, wow, like that thing was thrown so hard and I didn't even hear it hit his hands. So he's got that talent and skill set. And then it just comes down to mindset. And I believe he's got that too. He's played in, big games, going back to college, and he shows it every time he steps out there. He's just getting better and better. And so, yes, I believe he could be a one.